Morning all. I'm Bhuneshwari from Computer Science Department, PB Siddhartha College. So today we are going to discuss about data pre-processing technique, which is a very important step in data mining. So before getting into the topic, let us know what data is first. So we all know data is some facts which could be analyzed in order to get some information from it. So data could be in structured format or it could be in unstructured format. So we generally store structured data in databases. So unstructured format data formats would be like images, videos, audio files, text files, all this. So data is being generated from multiple sources in multiple formats. So let us see the data generation sources. So data is being generated from people who use social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all. So it could also be generated through the emails with the usage of internet and all. Data can also be generated from the machines like sensors, cameras, log files, and all. Also, it could be generated from corporations. That means it could be generated from medical field, like in the form of medical records, credit card transactions, research, e-commerce, sales, and all. So, data is being generated from multiple sources in higher volumes in different formats. So, we need to bring all the data into a consistent format in order to perform some operations on it. So, data that has been generated from multiple sources can be stored using data repositories like data warehouses, data cubes, data marts, and data lakes. Data that is being generated in high volumes is called as big data. And we can handle this big data using different technologies like cloud computing, data mining techniques, and machine learning models. So, data pre-processing is the process of preparing the raw data and making it suitable for the machine learning model. So it is always not important that the data we have collected would be in a consistent format. So it may contain noisy data outliers and all. So we need to prepare the data. So that means we need to format the data into a particular format, and then we can apply that data or we can make the data useful for a machine learning model. So by doing this, the performance of the machine learning model will also increase. So we have different steps in order to follow in data mining pre-processing process. So we need to first bring the data we have collected, and then we need to import different libraries. That means if you are using any technologies like Python or all, we can import some libraries which would help in pre-processing the data. And if you want to embed any other data sets, you can also import the data sets. So in that data set, you need to find some missing values, whether there is any inconsistent data and all. So and after doing that, we need to split the data into testing and training. So by doing this, we can know the accuracy of the model that we are applying the data on. So next, we can add some features and we can remove some features from the data as per the operation or as per the requirements we have. So in this picture, you can see we need to perform multiple steps in order to gain some knowledge from the data we have collected. So firstly, we need to prepare the data into so that it could be bring into a format uh, that could be applied, that could be used for the rest of the operations here. So first we need to pre-process the data. Next we need to perform some data selection and transformation techniques. Then we can apply some pattern evaluation techniques in order to gain some knowledge from the data we have collected. So in order to gain some patterns and insights from the large data sets, we are using machine learning models. That means we are applying some machine learning models to the data. So we have different machine learning models like classification, we have regression techniques, we have clustering techniques in order to cluster the data which is similar in formats. So classification techniques helps the data to be classified into classes. Like for example, if you have taken email, it would classify the data into spammers or not spam. So we can also use regression techniques and all. Also, you can apply association rule learning like a priori and all in order to uncover relationships in data useful for market basket analysis. Also, you can use anomaly detection, which identifies the outliers in the data. We can use NLP and all. So together, these algorithms automate the discovery of meaningful patterns, driving data-driven decisions across various industries like finance, health sector, marketing, e-commerce, and all. So we have seen data preprocessing is the process of preparing the data into a consistent format so that that data could be applied to a machine learning model. So data is being generated in that means data is being generated in different formats from heterogeneous bases. So due to this heterogeneity, the real world data tends to be inconsistent, noisy. So we need to remove all that. That means we need to pre-process the data in order to make the data ready for the operations further. So if the data is inconsistent, then there is a possibility that the data mining process would lead to confusion. That means if the data is inaccurate, the accuracy of the machine learning model would also be less efficient. So that is why we need to make the data consistent and accurate so that the data mining process would be efficient and give it the results in a efficient output. So the main objective of the data pre-processing is to improve the quality of the data, and at the same time it also reduces the difficulty of data mining process. So because if the data is perfect and if the data is clean and neat, data mining process would run smoothly, otherwise it won't. So that is why we need to apply the pre-processing technique on the data we have collected. So why do we need to preprocess that data is the data we have collected may be dirty. That means it can contain incomplete data, or it can contain outliers and all. So let us see what are those. So for example, I'm collecting some employee data. For example, employee ID is a must and should in order to know about the employee details. So if, for example, if I have not entered any employee IDs in the data that I have collected, then that would be called as incomplete data. Or for example, if I have entered some data of particular employees, and if I have missed some of the data of the employees, it will also be considered as incomplete. Sometimes some attributes are very important in order to perform some operations. For example, for employees, the employee ID must is a must, and for credit card transactions, the transaction ID is also must. For example, if those important attributes are missing, then we can say the it is a lack of certain attributes of interest. So that is what we call it as incomplete data. And next, inconsistent some next coming to noisy data. For examples, we consider, or we can say, errors or outliers data is called as noisy data. For example, here we have taken salary. So we all know salary could not be negative, right? So if, for example, if we have entered the salary in negative values, it could lead to outliers. So some data need to be in a particular format. If the format is not being followed there, so it would be called as noisy data. Next, coming to inconsistent data. So, for example, if two people are entering this data of some employees in a database, so for example, some people, one person may follow the birthday format as month, date, and year. Some may follow as date, month, year. So, if two people are performing operations on same database, and they are storing the same data in multiple formats, it could lead to discrepancies in the data. So, for example, duplicate records also lead to discrepancies. So, we can see that incomplete, noisy, and inconsistent data may be occurred because of multiple reasons. So, we have seen like attributes of interest may not always be available, and sometimes human errors could also lead to discrepancies and all. So missing data sometimes in a particular tuples or in particular rows in the database would also need to be inferred in order to pre-process, and that means in order to bring the data into a consistent format. So we have different ways to handle missing data. That means, so first we by deleting the particular. So let us see an example here. For example, if you see 6, 7, 8 rows, we have some incomplete data. So we can, if we think that data or the particular data in that particular row would be of no use, we can simply remove the data. That means we can delete the row. Or for example, if you're acting operations on or performing operations on numeric values, for example, here we have, for example, if we have taken weight column, if there is any value that is missing from the data, we can calculate the averages or the mean values of the remaining numbers, and we can put that value in the missing value. So that is how we can handle missing data. So by deleting the particular row or by calculating the mean. So noisy data can also occur because of number of reasons, having incorrect attribute values. So we have seen earlier that salary could not be negative. So likewise, so for example, data collection instruments may have been damaged. Like if you are collecting data from sensors and other instruments, if they are not working properly, and if you collect data from those machines or all, the data would also lead to noisy data, and sometimes human or computer errors also may lead to noisy data. Errors in data transmission can also occur. So all these are reasons for noisy data. So inconsistent data could also be a result in it could also be formed because of naming conventions, like we have discussed about birth date notation, or some may follow last name first name format, or some may follow first name last name format. Because of the differences in these naming conventions, inconsistent data could also be occurred. So we need to work on this inconsistent, noisy, incomplete data in order to pre-process the data and bring the data into a consistent format. So we have different pre-processing techniques here, like data cleaning. So in data cleaning, we start filling the missing values by performing some operations. We identify or we try to remove outliers and resolve inconsistencies. And integration involves integration of multiple databases, data cubes, and files. So in data transformation, we transform the data into a particular format. We apply normalization and aggregation techniques in data transformation process. Also, coming to data reduction, now, for example, if you have 100 records of data, not all the 100 records would be useful for a requirement or for our operation. So we can reduce the data into a small amount, and then we can use that data for our operation. Next, data discretization is nothing but we can differentiate the data, or we can represent the data into particular structure that would be useful for our operations. So here we are discussing about normalization, which is a data transformation technique. So for example, normalization is the process of the adjusting scale of different features in the dataset to make them comparable and prevent one feature from dominating the other due to its larger scale. For example, if we are comparing two features like income and age, income would be in higher value and age would be in two-digit value. So if you want to compare these values, one feature may dominate the other. So we can simply normalize this data and bring the data into zeros and ones so that we can compare the features easily. So here we have applied some normalization techniques here. And if you see the output, both the income and age are being represented in zeros and ones. So by doing this, we can easily compare two features without one dominating the other. So next, concept hierarchies are variable because they can be useful for representing the data in a complex structure. So that means we can represent the data into a structure. Even the data is complex, we can easily understand this data by using concept hierarchies. So here I have taken some electronics. So in that electronics, we have subcategories like mobiles and laptops. And then we again in that mobiles and laptops, we have some other subcategories. So by representing the data in concept hierarchies, it would be easy to read and understand what the data is about. So here you can see in this picture we have a number of steps that need to be performed in data mining process. So the first and foremost step is reprocessing the data in order to get the data into a consistent format. So data preprocessing techniques improves the quality of data, thereby helping to improve the accuracy and efficiency of the subsequent mining process. So it offers several advantages, like it improves data quality by reducing the errors, inconsistencies, and inaccuracies. Also, if the data quality is high, the model performance would also be high. And also, it reduces overfitting by using techniques like normalization and feature engineering and all. So, if the data quality is high and the model efficiency is better, and if it reduces the overfitting, the it also increases the efficiency in the output. So because the data is better, because the data is in high quality, the model performance is also high, we can get the better insights from the data, and in turn it could lead to make most accurate decision making. Also, we can handle missing data using some techniques. Also, we have applied some normalization and standardization techniques. Feature engineering can also be applied on the data we have collected. So all this together improves the data quality, thereby increasing the efficiency of the model that we are using, machine learning model we are using in our operations. Thank you.